So I want to talk about our cousins.
Okay.
Phil.
Phil, always highly educated, always well-behaved, well-mannered, unlike a lot of the other cousins, and fun because he would come from either Virginia or California, far-flung, and then he didn't have any siblings, so he wanted to be around us more than the mother boys, for example, right?
Yes.
Right?
Yeah, Phil was a little mysterious because he lived far away
Right.
and would sort of come in on an airplane. But I give him a lot of credit for, probably being the most devoted family guy of us all in terms of just being at everything. I mean, he goes to more things than I do, and I live in the same state.
Exactly, and even today, he goes to more things. He's Mr. Reliable.
Yeah, absolutely.
And what a great guy, and I see a lot of his dad in him, but I also see a lot of Bobel. I think physically he resembles the Shepherds more, but there's a lot of Bobel in him, that wit and a little bit of a twinkle in his eye.
Yeah,
and,
absolutely.
Absolutely. And very funny. His Christmas letters are the best on the universe.
Keep them coming, Phil.
Yeah.
So you mentioned the Mullers.
Well, we spent a lot of time with the Mullers. Of course, no video concerning the Mullers would be complete without, because every photo we took on every Cousins Club trip, I don't know why, they think they were showing their strength.
I guess, yeah.
But
mostly Robbie is what I remember.
But Jimmy was right in there with the, and then there were other faces like, and
they're very
a lot
visual,
of gesturing and then climbing. I remember a hotel, I think in Chicago, that kind of pink brick. They scaled the building. No joke.
Yeah.
They scaled the building, and I think there was law enforcement involved. No, but yeah.
Oh, that's true.
They were great. They were a lot of fun on the trips. We had so much fun together, and we spent a lot of time with them. And just they had that cool tree house.
Oh, I do remember that. And one year I thought their whole backyard was planted in hay.
Hay or rye grass
or something.
some
it wasn't
kind of,
like regular grass. Which
Why
we thought
was
very
that?
cool. I'm not sure.
But it was cool.
I don't know. I'm kind of blaming Jimmy for that. But I'm not sure.
Yeah, that was cool.
And then I remember being in their house, which I always thought, and it's the house Aunt Flossie still lives in. It's a very interesting old house, and we were in their living room, and I think we were probably with Ricky, and they were doing some sort of, excuse me, but geeky boy things with tape recording.
I don't know. I'm sure
they always had some kind of a.
They always had some kind of a science kit, chemistry kit.
And we sometimes felt a little bored by the whole thing.
Yeah.
But all of our cousins were the closest thing to brothers that we
had, and they tolerated us because we were the token girls that were around.
Right.
All in that Lorraine area.
Yeah.
Oh, they were. I suppose in hindsight they were patient, but I don't want to give them that much credit.
No.
Yeah, they were, and
And how about the Florida cousins?
Well, I remember visiting Mary Jane, because Mary Jane is age-wise between me and you. I thought she was really, really cool. Beautiful, fashionable. She was from Florida, of course, somehow that added to her whole mystique. And just it. She was just it. And Diane always felt older to me, and so more
mature and sort of
wise,
deserved respect.
Yes, right. Ray, I remember when we went to visit, and I think he was 16. He had just gotten his license.
Maybe in Illinois.
No,
was it
in Florida? And I think.
Oh, it was. Okay,
their dad was in Vietnam.
I had a huge crush on Ray.
Oh, he was so cute.
Probably was completely
gross,
thick and long.
Yeah.
But he was just.
And he had that Mustang, didn't he?
Oh, I probably.
He was cool, and he thought he was cool.
In my mind,
he thought he was cool. We believed he was cool. Yeah, that was.
Oh yeah.
And then Dean was my favorite cousin when I was a little girl. I looked up to him. He was more like a much older brother. Did you hear that, Dean?
Sorry,
Betsy
Dean.
said that. And I just thought he was I loved him. Just thought he was fabulous. I think a little bit like my Claire feels about John Selleck. Just looked up to him and adored him. And when he joined the Navy? Was it the Navy, Dean? I remember he came to see us, and I think all the family and say goodbye, and I was just touched, but also devastated that he was leaving, and
it's so great to see the Florida cousins, and they all remind me of Aunt Marge in ways, and
Oh,
it's
yeah.
just fun to
And their
reconnect
dad.
with them.
Yeah, yeah.
And then the Liebers. And you know, we always call them the Painesville cousins, and we didn't see as much of them
No,
because of the distance, I think, and there were so many of them, and some of them were significantly older than us.
right.
But
Cheryl
was,
always has come to
yes,
everything.
absolutely.
And of course, Rob Lieber, the youngest, worked for our dad for many years.
10 years or something.
And very faithfully worked
Yes.
for Dad.
Yeah.
And Dad thought a lot of him.
Yes.
And his work ethic and his approach.
And
that
I think
was nice.
really enjoyed getting to know him
Uh-huh.
as an adult,
Mhm.
because Dad was very fond of Jeanette.
Very fond
He
of
was
Jeanette.
very fond of all of his siblings,
Yeah.
but I think really was devastated, as everybody was, that Aunt Jeanette died so young, and really enjoyed the opportunity to get to know.
And I think wanted to maybe reach out to who he could, in this case Rob, in a maybe a little bit of a fatherly way or an extended uncle kind of a way. So that was really nice. And we got to spend a lot of time with Rob, and that was nice for us.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He sometimes came over to picnics and things.
Right, right.
And that was fun.
Right.
And then Harold's kids, of course, we were
Yeah.
very close to, and spent a lot of time with, in part because of the business relationship and because of the proximity, and our ages lined up pretty good.
Right. I always felt John was mysterious and cool also. Thought that a lot of him, apparently, because he went to school in Florida and then he lived in California.
And he had that hippie phase,
Well,
which
he
was
did.
very
The van.
intriguing.
the van with
Yeah.
a flag or some scandalous thing painted on it, and then he had long hair, and my parents, everybody was all upset about that, and
Yeah.
And he was a really, really talented photographer, so he was arty, and that was cool, and
But I feel a real closeness to all three of them, and just feel so happy to still have them in our lives,
Right.
and to spend time with Rob and Peg and what they've done to the cottage,
and that this cottage is still in the family.
yes,
is
and they
really-
share it with us
yeah,
is very
really nice.
important. And we both spent time with Rick as a contemporary. He spent a little time at Ohio State when Tim and I were there. And you had some connections. In fact, you missed an opportunity to become a very wealthy woman.
Yes, it was one
because
of
of
the
your
great-
relationship
yes.
with Rick.
Yeah, it was brief, but it was truly a missed opportunity. I dated maybe once, if you even call it a date. I like to make it sound like it was more than it actually was. Rick's good friend, who was very wealthy, but I digress.
But suffice it to say,
Yeah.
it was and is a good relationship, even though we
Absolutely.
don't get to see as much of them as we'd like.
Right. And Rick
Yeah.
was a lot of fun on those cousin club trips. A lot of jumping on the bed with Rick, I
Yeah.
think.
Oh
and-
yeah.
And other hijinks involving
Yes.
the ice machine.
Yeah.
A swimming
Yes.
pool.
Yeah. Well, and I can remember several times being on the Cousins Club and the knock, 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 and the manager at the door, little kids, where are your parents? And having to say, well, we don't know.
They're
We're
next
here with our
door."
dads, and they're in some
Yeah.
other room, and they told us they'd give us $1 if we stayed away. So, yeah, there was a little of that.
Yeah, just a little. Yeah. Yeah. And of course, we miss John horribly, but it's really good, I think, important that we go on and honor him, especially with the auction that we'll be doing soon. That was his thing to go forward, and I think that's the best way to remember him and honor him.
Absolutely.